lot of discussion about the issues that were needed in the black community for the last years, but particularly it intensified after the George Floyd situation. And you saw a lot of people who were just virtue signaling. They'd go on Instagram and cry, or they would put a slogan on their jersey or write something on a basketball court. And quite frankly, that was doing more to polarize the country than it was to bring people forward. You solve problems with solutions.
Trump's son-in-law and fellow Nepo baby, Jared Kushner, gives us his soulful thoughts.
I want her family to know, and I want the state of Kentucky to know that we feel for it and we want justice.
Of course, Kushner cannot relate to a LeBron James who preaches on the state of America.
The past 4 months have shed a light on the ongoing racial injustices facing our African-American community. Citizens around the country have used their voices and platforms to speak out against these wrongdoings.
We encourage all citizens to educate themselves, take peaceful and responsible action, and remember to vote on November 3rd.
And when NBA players said enough is enough when it comes to police brutality, in unison boycotting their games to make their voices heard.
Look, I think that the NBA players are very fortunate that they have the financial position where they're able to take a night off from work without having to have the consequences to themselves financially. So they have that luxury, which is great.
This was Kushner's rebuttal. What insincere leadership from a person born an inch from home plate.
The number one job in America, the point of person, is someone who doesn't understand the people.
But how much does he really not understand the people?
Have you ever seen him say or do anything that you would describe as racist or bigoted?
So the answer is no, absolutely not. You can't not be a racist for 69 years, then run for president and be a racist. And what I'll say is that when a lot of the Democrats call the president a racist, I think they're doing a disservice to people who suffer because of real racism in this country.
Was birtherism racist?
Look, I wasn't really involved in that.
I know you weren't. Mm-hmm. Was it racist?
Like I said, I wasn't involved in that.
I know you weren't. Mm-hmm. Was it racist?
Look, I know who the president is, and I have not seen anything in him that is racist. So again, I was not involved in that.
Did you wish he didn't do that?
Like I said, I was not involved in that. That was a long time ago.
Absolute idiot this dude is. Can't even try and defend.
Look, I think with the NBA, there's a lot of activism, and I think that they've put a lot of slogans out, but I think that what we need to do is turn that from slogans and signals to actual action that's going to solve the problem.
Again, how is he so bad at this?
Despite the overwhelming plea for change, there has been no action. So our focus today cannot be on basketball.
We are calling for justice for Jacob Blake and demand the officers be held accountable. For this to occur, it is imperative for the Wisconsin State Legislature to reconvene after months of inaction and take up meaningful measures to address issues of police accountability, brutality, and criminal justice reform.
The players have even told of the solutions they desire, but it's fallen on deaf ears.
And one thing we've seen in a lot of the black community, which is mostly Democrat, is that President Trump's policies are the policies that can help people break out of the problems that they're complaining about, but he can't want them to be successful more than they want to be successful. And what you're seeing throughout the country now is a groundswell of support in the black community because they're realizing that all the different bad things that the media and the Democrats have said about President Trump are not true. And so they're seeing that he's actually delivered, he's put up results, and a lot of people want to get on board to start working with President Trump because they know that, unlike most politicians who have been in Washington for decades, who talk and say all the right things, President Trump may not always say the right things, but he does the right things.
Just a boot-looking simp is all I see. Like this administration has ever cared about the people. They use their time in office as a slush fund. Amen to LeBron's words here, because over time he's been proven right.
The other issue that often gets brought up in this conversation is that he campaigned on banning Muslims. Would you describe that as religiously bigoted?
Look, I think that the president did his campaign the way he did his campaign.
He did,
and I think
but you wish he didn't. Do you wish he didn't make that speech?
I think he's here today, and I think he's doing a lot of great things for the country.
Any comment on the travel ban in the United States?
I think it's bull. I think it's absolute bull.
You write movingly about your father's experience and that he was arrested and he ultimately went to jail for 2 years. Is that a concern in your family that you've married into right now about your father-in-law?
Well, first of all, I've been watching them try to get him now for 6 years. Again, he had no legal problems.
No legal problems? You sure, Jared?
We live in two Americas, and that was prime example of that yesterday. And if you don't understand that or don't see that after seeing what you saw yesterday, then you really need to take a step back, not even just one step, maybe 4 or 5 or even 10 steps backwards, and ask yourself, how do you want your kids, or how do you want your grandkids? How do we want America to be viewed as? How do we want to live, in this beautiful country?
Why would you send Jared Kushner to the Middle East when you have Rex Tillerson and Mike Pompeo as Secretaries of State? 2 incredibly accomplished men. You send him. Why? We found out the answer 6 months after he left office. $2 billion from the Saudis to Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump. $2 billion.
Shockingly, take it from former Trump confidant Chris Christie to spill the tea. In addition,
sitting with Jared and sitting with Josh and finding out other pieces of information, I was like, wow, these guys might have really been holding Trump back. What is it? His work in Israel or his work in Palestine? What is this? You know where he made these peace treaties? Where was that? Do you know the facts on this right here? So I'm like...
I think that was between Israel and some of the Arab nations.
I just think it was to make money. I just think that that's what they're about, is making money. I don't think that they have the ability to make anything on their own. I think they were born into money.
Chicago rapper guy did the same. Maybe the most true thing he's said since his George Bush comments. First things first, before we get into it, if there are any stories we missed, if there are any that you would like to submit, get at me and follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. DMs are open. Look forward to all of y'all's submissions. And please, if you can, go to tyt.com/join to support the network and keep us fully independent. When I look at this story, many thoughts, obviously, but one that really rings true is Jared Kushner is a billionaire who came from riches. And shockingly enough, Chris Christie went after Kushner's dad when Christie was a practicing lawyer. Interesting how that works out. Jared Kushner at one point for like his 18th birthday or 21st birthday was given a gift. And that gift was to run a newspaper. True story. There are many reports that Jared Kushner was not smart enough to get into Harvard. And as we know, he may or may not have, from the rich, bought his way in. He marries Ivanka, another corrupt individual, and marries into the family, a very corrupt family at that. And this man, this boy, has the gall to go after LeBron James. LeBron came from nothing and made something of himself. You could not have more polar opposites than those two. And then when Kushner left the White House to do the Saudis' dirty work, he was given over $2 billion. This is public corruption out in the open in government when they are supposed to serve us. We put them in positions to serve us. And what I find to be most deterring internally is that people vote for this and put them in those positions, and they are totally fine with being screwed over. They are totally fine with allowing someone like a Jared Kushner or a Steve Mnuchin to get millions and or billions of dollars while they are in office. And by the way, this goes for the Pelosi's of the world too. Why is she worth over $100 million when she's in government? That doesn't make sense. It'll never make sense. But for Kushner, all I can think of is, if there's another term, how much more are they going to make in order to just dog whistle to the audience that'll vote for them?